All right, so first off, Denzel, I want to thank you so much for coming to In the Moment Acting Studio to share your knowledge with both myself and the rest of the class here. All right, so what got you into acting in the first place?
Ooh, fantastic question. I kind of slipped and fell into acting. It was one of those things where I got called by this agency that my cousins had recommended me to. One of those things you would see at like the kiosk at like a mall or something. Um, and they were just like, yeah, come try out. Little did I know it ended up being like a scam agency. I actually lost a lot of money getting into it. Lost like $3,500 just on headshots, classes, things of that nature. Things that didn't end up getting me anywhere. The agency wasn't quite an agency. They just made me pay for these classes. That's how I got in the business. I got scammed. I got scammed, and from there I was like, well, I like entertaining, cool. I'm not making money, but it's fun. Let me just keep trying at it.
Today's a training day, Officer Hoyt. Show you around, give you a taste of the business, you know?
Okay, now that we've reviewed your history, tell us about your days working on training day with Denzel Washington. Tell us how you booked the role and your experience thereafter.
The audition process was easy. I mean, for that role, believe it or not, that was an extra role. That was a background talent role that got bumped up to a principal role. So my audition was really one audition. And mind you, I'm like 10 years old. What do I care about at that time but playing soccer and eating Oreos? In fact, I'm more excited about craft service at the time than starring with Denzel Washington, so it is what it is. That was weird. Looking back on it, you don't realize how beautiful of a moment that was in my career at the time it had happened. Like, I was very fortunate to, again, trip into this business, be a child actor, kind of already live here in Los Angeles. There's a difference living here and then people who come here, because when they come here, it's all this perception of what you see directly through your television. Whereas living here, you know, you're only a step away from Hollywood, and once you actually go to Hollywood, it's not as glamorous as the television portrays it. So, you know, being 10 and being on training day, it was like, you don't realize how special that is until that moment you look back on it and you have it. So I was thankful to be a part of it, to be honest. I was enamored by making movies more so than anything.
King Kong ain't got shit on me!
Again, it was weird, man. That was my first thing. It was my first time stepping on set. None of it made sense to me. Not at all. It's weird looking back on it, realizing how much went into filmmaking just one scene alone, just being in that household. Those setups. By the time we were finished shooting, it was nighttime, and they were still mimicking day, and I had never seen that before. You know, the light setups and everything. By the time I had stepped out of the house, I realized there was no more sun, and it still looked like day in there, and that was trippy to me. So that whole experience, really, it was bizarre to be on set like that and to hold that sort of performance. Because that's the first time I was really put to the test. That was the first time I was like, okay, let's go. Let's see what you actually can do as an actor. I'm just thankful I didn't look like a fool.
Junior, slow down.
Where's that?
Quiet, he's writing a lecture.
Dad.
Junior, what is the greatest weakness of man?
Not believing? Doubt?
That's it. Thank you, Junior.
The Great Debaters. Tell us how you were able to acquire that role in the movie.
Now, The Great Debaters was one of those roles where 4 times I went back in the room, and it was me and there was another kid named Malcolm Kelly, which, I don't know, has anybody seen Lost in here? Lost, okay. The younger black kid who was stuck on the island, I don't know if you remember him. That was my direct competition at the time. And what's crazy about that is that my agent didn't bring me great debaters. My mother found great debaters. She was my momager at the time and super instrumental to my career. Love her dearly for that. So she found me the role. I had at the sides maybe like 2 weeks prior to when I had auditioned. So I was training with this coach at the time who I love dearly. And she was kind of whipping me into shape and everything. And I go in the room and I'm just thinking like, man, I'm about to meet Denzel, man. Like, I did this before, but I'm about to meet him again. What is it gonna be like? Crazy enough, I walk in the room. He has this like air shotgun, you know, he's like, freeze. Same sort of thing that we were doing in training day, just playing around. And I was like, no way, he remembers me. So it was cool, you know? Oh, wow. It was dope. Instantly, then he remembered me, and it kind of broke the ice, because once I went in the room, everything became chill. We got to catch up for a small bit. It let me let that nervous energy out the window. And even then with my performance, it was like I brought something to him prepared. And working with him was the first time transformatively for me with my dramatic side is where I expanded and I grew as an actor. But it's nothing like working with someone who's kind of established like that to really stretch what you know and to teach you new things. And in fact, I found myself doing less by the time I started working with Denzel. One of the things he would always tell me is less is more. And that's where I sort of really got what I call my modern technique now is from him. He was like, keep it simple, don't do too much. And then you're going toe to toe with him and Forrest Whitaker, and it's like, I gotta keep up, you know? I gotta perform. I can't slack. I gotta remember my lines. I gotta show up on set prepared. Show up beforehand. Like even when we got lunch or you know, time in between. I don't want to look like I'm playing around because I don't want to miss this opportunity. It's just made me an overall better performer and more of a professional working with them.
And so I want to get into when you were actually filming.
Oh yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, like how long it took, what that was like.
It was 3 months in Shreveport, Louisiana. Prior to that, we did 2 weeks of debate camp. It was something special. We went to Wiley College. We actually learned the history of the college, learned the history of the debaters. We went to debate camp where I found out I love to argue, which is fun. Yeah, the whole set, it was 3 months. This was while I was still in school. I was 17, or going on 17. I had my birthday while we were filming. So like I would do school, I think it's like 3 to 5 hours of like homeschooling you gotta do. And then after that, I was cut loose. I was sitting about how far you are with me to Denzel. And I would always just sort of shadow him. I would be behind him the entire time. And he would tell me like why he would choose certain setups, or, you know, why he would frame us a certain way, or, you know, why he chose this scene over that scene, or even casting choices, why he chose me over some of the other actors. It was really cool to get that whole perspective. And if anything, he's the reason why I started directing films. He gave me my first camera. He gave me a director's viewfinder. He was like, I want you to come every day, just bring a book. I'm just gonna start giving you quotes. I would shadow him because I was like, this is cool. I'd never get a chance like this. And working with Denzel, Denzel's a very interesting person because when he's an actor, he's an actor. And I've heard some stories of people saying they met him on set and, oh, he's kind of standoffish, or he's kind of rude, you know. No, he's an actor. Like, when he's acting, he's acting. Do not fuck with his method. That's what I can tell you. But when he's a director, he's a father and a mentor. He's a leader, you know? He's a noble man just trying to get all of his pieces together like he's playing a chessboard. And it's cool because that's like an intimate moment that I got to share with him that most people don't even get to have when they work with him. He's not that type of person to open up while he's acting because he's just lasered zero focus. So that in itself was a blessing to actually have that time with him. That's something I would cherish forever. He's so instrumental to what I do today that I'm just thankful for it, you know?
Martin.
You're alive, that's good. Where are you?
I'm in a shop on the upper level.
Listen to me. I need you to lead him outside to the south parking lot.
If I do that, I'm dead.
If you stay where you are, you're dead for sure. Lead him outside. Trust me.
Why should I?
Because I'm here, son.
Now, I also want to get into the movie Abduction, where you were directed by John Singleton, who, you know, has made so many great movies and also made that huge hit back in the early 90s, Boys in the Hood. And it must have been such a great honor to work with such a legend. So tell us about your experience working with Taylor Lautner and Sigourney Weaver and Lily Collins. Tell us about how you were able to get that role.
So that's where the Hollywood relationships come in handy. That's what happened with that role. Me and Taylor, we would hang out back in the day. We were real close homies. You know, birthday parties, stuff like that out in Valencia. That's where we would all kick it. So I knew Taylor when we were both 14, before all that stuff happened, back when he was Shark Boy. I remember him then, so we were cool. Like when I came in the room, he already knew me. It was catching up with old friends. And that relationship was what helped not only get me that role, but solidify our friendship on camera because it was already existent. Working with John Singleton was cool because going in the room after doing Great Debaters, it's one of those things where you earn the respect of other people in the business. So John was looking at me with respect and I'm looking at him with respect, and it's like, all right, my brother, let's collaborate. Let's do this. You know, first day on set, he gave a commemorative speech about Boys in the Hood because it was like the anniversary that day of. And I was like, man, this is kind of cool. But again, there's this mutual respect that you sort of gain. And it's not to say that I'm like cocky about what I did beforehand, but I don't put anyone in this business on a pedestal. It's the wrong way of approaching it. I think you look at them for what they've achieved and what they can maybe teach you. But when you step on set, you guys are equals, and you got to be treated as equals because you made it past the audition process. You made it past that already. So they trust whatever you're going to bring to the table. Step up as equals, and then you guys can work on the same playing field, and all that other accolade stuff goes out the windows. Denzel, there was this one thing he said when he came to set. He was like, oh man. Because we were shooting in Shreveport, Louisiana. Mind you, 2007, yeah, we came a long way with race, but there's this one scene we had back in Great Debaters where we were hanging a body in the back alleys of Shreveport, Louisiana. I swear to you, the energy was weird as hell. It was still some like racist burial energy that was creeping up. And Denzel was like, man, I could go out here and remind everybody who I am. And I could be, you know, braggadocious about it and boisterous about it. These accolades that are just sitting on my mantle at home. But that's not what it's about. We're here as people, here to do a job. I just want to make sure we do it right. And that to me stuck with me more than anything, because no, it's not about the accolades. Like, awards don't mean a damn thing. They're just a piece of metal. You know, what you do doesn't mean a damn thing, but it's the work behind you and how you I guess carry that work in an elegant way. You know what I mean? What's your decorum after the fact? You know. Back to Abduction, all that shit was fun. Crazy enough. Okay, Lily Collins, I did not know she was Phil Collins' daughter at the time, right?
Wow.
So, I mean, I learned while we were filming, but while we were on set, she shows up, Taylor and her sort of had this thing. He's asking me, like, what should I do? I'm like, bro, you got the juice right now. Like, you're in the tabloids. Everybody think you the man of the year. You Mr. GQ over here. I'm just kind of like the buddy, half good looking dude. Why are you asking me? You know? And I remember we were all chilling and I was like, this is some third wheel shit. I'm about to go home. They're about to do their thing. And I put on like the Tupac and Phil Collins song. I was like, this is my jam. Not knowing it's a remix, not knowing it wasn't the official song. And she was like, oh yeah, I love that song. You know, Father did great on that. Yo, who? What do you mean your father did great on that? Then it clicked and I'm like, oh shit. That That's just how it is, though. I'm so naive in this business, man. I could walk past somebody and not know who they are. It just doesn't affect me. That's not my character.
He said he'd get them all next time. What do you think he meant?
Maybe he's talking about his other personalities. My family's from Haiti. And down there, they don't say that someone like him has multiple personalities.
What do they say he has?
Multiple souls.
What's the difference?
Personalities die when the patient dies. Souls live on. It's all just superstition, I suppose.
My Soul to Take.
Yes, sir.
I want to get into that one because especially for people who are horror fans in here. I mean, Wes Craven, holy crap. I mean, this guy, he is the one who gave birth to Freddy Krueger. I mean, without Wes Craven, there's no Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Without him, there's no Scream. And not only did you get to work with him, but this was his second to last movie that he ever made. Unfortunately, he died just a couple of years afterwards. And I think we would all like to know, especially the ones who are familiar with his work, what was it like working with such an iconic filmmaker?
The nicest guy you'll ever meet. I'm dead serious. Like, you think of Freddy Krueger, Mr. Horror. I expect some like creepy shit when I stepped on set. Like, I expected something
like
weird.
Stephen King or something.
Yeah. Just showing up with some weird stuff in the craft services. Like, I wanted something weird to happen. He was so nice. He's the grandfather you go fishing with. You want to know what's weird about him? Is that he never really wanted to do horror films. Never wanted to do horror films. In fact, he wanted his first film that he ever wrote, he wanted it to be a romantic comedy. And horror films were cheaper to make at the time. They're still cheap to make. And, Nightmare on Elm Street became a cult classic. And he still tried to sell his romantic comedy. And after that, no one wanted the script. They were like, no, how about you do what you did with Friday the 13th? How about you make us some more money like that? So that's how he became this godfather of horror. Never wanted to do it. So working with him was very interesting. Again, real cool set, cool people. What do you say? That film was the longest film we've ever shot. We shot the initial film for 3 months. Then we came back for 2 months of retake. Then we came back for another month of retakes. And that's when they had gained like a new investor. Studio dropped out, then studio came back. That's when you learn the whole fiasco of like, no film is set in stone. Even he was having problems getting funding and still getting it made. Yeah.
And he's Wes Craven. I mean, you would think that he just says, I want to make this movie, and boom, it happens.
Whatever the first cut was not working. The new studio came in, did not want that cut. They wanted something different. So the script kept evolving. That script had maybe went through, from shooting, maybe it went through like 6 changes while we were continuously shooting. That's not even the beforehand stuff. It was always evolving.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in that movie, you played a blind kid.
I did.
Yeah. And I feel like you played it very well. How did you prep for that role?
It's weird because even West asked me about how I did the role, and I can't even tell you. It's one of those things where you're staring off into space, but you're not connecting visually with anything. And the way I sort of prep myself movement-wise for being blind is just tying a bandana around my head or keeping my eyes closed and trying to figure out how to navigate around my house. Now, naturally, I'm a night owl. I like to stay up at night. My parents would always go to sleep. I was staying at my parents' house at the time. They would like to go to sleep early. So I'm navigating around my house at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning while it's dark. And I got used to just moving around in the dark. And then I just kind of applied those same theories to me moving around without sight. Sure, lo and behold, it was the next thing you know, I'm playing blind. It was a weird role, You can't teach it. It's just, you're not looking at anything. You're trying your best not to connect with anything. It's a feeling, it's a movement. When you hear something, you're instinctually going towards that sound. The best thing I could say is method acting for that one. Yeah.
Wow, so when you were at your house, you would just like What, close your eyes and like try to walk around the house with your eyes closed, or?
But yeah, I mean, you try to get off this stage and walk back over there. If you did it right now, what would you do?
I'd probably fall.
Probably fall, but you know that step's there, right?
Yeah.
You know it's like maybe what, 2-3 feet away from you?
Yeah.
Now imagine if you're blind, if you had the walking stick, what you can do with that, you know? There's a reason why blind people carry around the stick. There's a reason why your senses and other abilities heighten once you lose one of them. So you just think of it from that perspective. If you take away your sight, listen to the things around you, you know kind of where you are geography-wise. And of course, in between cuts, I can look up and see where I'm going. That makes it easier, makes it better, makes it look like I know what I'm doing. But in reality, it's the same sort of stuff. Just feel around. Use that as your guide and let that be your acting.
I gotta pick up Searles in an hour. Is the car ready?
You gonna do me like that?
It's a limo.
No, it's a limo on roids.
Oh my god, this limo is so dope, dude. I want one.
I'm not dying down here!
I want to get into one of your latest projects that came out, Submerged, which again I had the pleasure of, being present while it was being filmed. How was it that you and Steven were, able to team up for that movie?
Audition.
Oh.
Audition. That's all it is, man. That's what you do in this business. You audition for the next role and you use that as a pivotal force to put you in your next one. So I met up with Steven. We did like a 2 audition process, just like a regular one and a callback. It was cool because when I went in, we instantly caught a vibe. I like to go in my audition rooms and I just like to get to know people first. If they allow me that time to, I'll walk in, I'll set the stage. It's your time in there. Don't let anybody take your time away from you. So I'll walk in and I'll sort of be like, hey, what's up? Strike a conversation. He was cool enough to entertain my conversation. And then I just gave him my performance. And usually if you're lucky enough or if they like what you're doing, they'll ask you again to do something. And he had me do this one tweak. And we both seen it from a different perspective, and that was that. We seen that perspective and we made the tweak and I tried it out and he was like, that's it, Sometimes you just know when things sort of click, and for me and Steven, that's what happened. It just sort of clicked.
Wow. And I want to get to the final day of shooting because I remember there was like that big...
Damn it, Johnny!
There was like that big giant pool, and it was like, 45 degrees outside, and it was in the low 50s inside that warehouse that you guys were shooting. And I remember that someone had said that the water heater broke.
Yep.
And the water was freezing. It was cold outside and inside.
Yep.
And you had to go in there, and you and Jonathan, Tallulah, Rosa.
Ridiculous.
So, but do you feel like, I don't know, that helped make the situation more real for you? Because sometimes those things are going to happen, and you got to just roll with it. So tell us like how that was for you.
So, let me preface all of this by saying I did a movie about us stuck in a limousine underwater in the ocean, and I can't swim. We're just gonna start with that. The first week I'm on set, they throw me in a pool, tell me to hold my breath and look like I'm dead. Again, can't swim. You're asking the wrong person to do that. Last day on set, float in this pool, look like you're running out of breath and air and you're scared for your life. Easy, cool. We're gonna stick a trunk on top of you. You gotta push up the trunk. We're gonna spray 2 fire hoses at you, and they're freezing cold. Fuck yeah, let's do it. Sure, Steven, thanks. That movie gave me nightmares. But with that being said, you're right, it does help. It's the same way like you put on wardrobe and it helps. The same way you get in a costume, you get on set, you feel everything. I don't necessarily mind the method acting approach of acting. You know, there's some people who say method is wrong. The Strasberg method sometimes says that pulling on real experiences or real emotions is a terrible way to act. I actually disagree. I think it's finding a balance in your acting that I would say. And I didn't mind the method approach. I didn't mind the freezing stuff. And I was willing to give myself to the role because I knew those were the circumstances we could have possibly been in if this were real.
Wow. I know, like, I was like, I was standing right there and all I see is you guys like all soaked wet.
Oh, I'm pissed. I'm mad. But it's for the film, you know? I give it my all. If I'm not, then you're going to see through that easily. It's not going to be believable.
So, but did they warn you guys ahead of time that the water was going to be freezing?
No, not at all. They warned us 2 hours before that the water was going to be freezing. Woo!
I remember all you guys were all shivering and then they had to like put towels on you guys.
They had the heater trailer that we ran into after we were done. They just 5 heat lamps all spread around. Everyone curled in front of a heat lamp.
Wow. Wow, so seems like you've had quite an impressive career. And is there any advice that you could give to these performers or anybody else out there?
Yeah. Okay, so everyone's fairly new to the business in here, I'm imagining. Yes, no, not at all, something. There's a couple mixed variations. Okay. I got a couple friends who are like just jumping into the business now. I've been in this game for about 15 years, and I'm still fighting in it, still going. My hill hasn't stopped. It's only increased based upon what I want to do in this business. Set your goals from the get-go. Set your morals from the get-go. Know what those are. Never deviate from it. Another thing is perseverance is key in this business. You got to keep going. You have to. You will have shit years. You will have bad years. You will have good years. You will have great years. You will ride the roller coaster in this business of life, in both life and your career as an actor. Keep going. One of the things I can tell you guys now, especially with like social media, especially with the way like new wave media is coming in, diversify your talent. One of the things, the reason why I was saying earlier, like my portfolio is sort of large is because not only am I acting, I'm directing. I worked as an editor at Cartoon Network for several years. I do fashion photography. Different sort of skills that I've learned, and let me tell you why they're sort of instrumental, is because, for instance, when I first started directing, I realized how important and how minute the role of acting is in terms of how to make a film, how to actually make a film. Understand what the process of that is, and you won't beat yourself so much when you don't get that role, or you will understand how important it is when you do get that role, and you'll cherish it. It's so interesting to learn how to play the film business from that side, because it is still a business at the end of the day. It's still a machine that runs. There's part art and there's part commerce. What you want to do is blend the both, and that's where you find the beautiful magic. That's how you find the projects that go on to do something that have fanfare, critical acclaim, whatever it may be. So the reason why I say diversify yourself is because everybody has a role, from the person who gives you your mic, person who gives you your makeup, wardrobe, whatever it may be. Learn how you can not be a nuance to those people, a nuisance to those people, but also help them in a way, because it's all a collaborative effort on set. And once you learn that, and once you learn how to work better in that, people will see that. They'll see it instinctually without you even having to tell them what you do. And they'll want to work with you based off of that alone. Just sort of get involved. Learn what it's like to even cast a film, because you'll really, really, really learn where you fit in the spectrum. You can figure out your brand a lot quicker. You can figure out how far you can stretch your brand. And you won't beat yourself up when you don't get that role. There's a lot of factors that go into this outside of your acting ability that's stopping you from getting that one role that can change your destiny. And I tell every actor this, and it sucks, but you're playing the lottery essentially. You're shooting darts at a dartboard. You're gonna hit some 50s, you're gonna hit some 20s, you're gonna hit some 10s. Ultimately, you're trying to hit that bullseye. Once you hit that bullseye, ride that wave, ride the momentum, strike while the iron's hot. Make sure you have your publicists on deck. Make sure you're shown at the right events. Don't go be a whore in Hollywood. No one likes a whore. But go to the right event, meet the right people. Just play it smart. At the end of the day, it's still a business. And you got to look at yourself like the most important entity out there. And anyone can tell you in business, longevity is key. You're looking to build a brand. You're looking to build a future. You're not striking to get rich quick. You're not striking for quick talent. You want to make sure you look at that thing a couple years back and say, yeah, I'm proud of that career. That's what I got to tell you guys. Just get out there and make sure you're always training your art. We're artists. We thrive off of the performance. We love it. It's what makes us feel good. That's the reason why you're sitting in this room today. If you don't have that feeling, I hate to tell you, you're in the wrong business. That's why you do it. If you're on set and you feel good and you do a performance, that's what counts. So use that. We're creatures of emotions. It's the only job people pay you still today for your feelings and emotions. You could go work them 9 to 5. No one cares about how you feel at the end of the day. Acting, they want to see truly who you are and who you can be.
Wow. Yes.
Thank you.